Chapter 1. The Lie. My name is Ethan. I had a simple, good life, a small house, a steady job, and a loving wife. Her name was Claire. We had been married for 6 years. I thought we were happy. I loved her more than anything in the world. She was my reason to smile each day. Our story ended on a normal Saturday morning. The sun was warm, shining through our kitchen window. I was drinking coffee and reading the newspaper. Everything felt peaceful and safe, like every weekend before. Then Claire came and sat across from me. She looked tired. Her eyes seemed far away. I put down the paper and asked softly, "What's wrong, Claire? Are you okay?" She didn't look at me. Her eyes stayed on her hands resting on the table. Her voice was quiet when she finally spoke. "It's my mother," she said. "She's not feeling well. She called me this morning. I need to go and take care of her." I felt sad for her mother. She was always kind to me, always smiling when we visited. I said, "Of course." "You should go. Don't worry about me, I'll be fine." I wanted to help. I said, "I can come with you. We can go together." But she shook her head quickly. "No," she said. "You have work to do on the house. It's better if you stay here. I'll only be gone for 2 days. I'll be back on Sunday night." She went to the bedroom and packed a small bag. Everything about her felt rushed and distant. A few minutes later, she came back. She was ready to go. She kissed me on the head. Her kiss was quick and cold, not like her usual one. I watched her car drive away down the quiet street. The house suddenly felt too big. It was empty without her, too quiet, too still. I trusted my wife completely. I believed every word she said. But Claire had a secret. A very big secret. One that would soon break my heart in two. That day, I tried to keep busy. I worked in the garden, but my hands felt heavy. Everywhere I looked, I saw her. Her book on the table, her coffee cup near the sink. I missed her deeply. I hoped her mother wasn't too sick. But I didn't know the truth. I didn't know my whole life was already a lie. Chapter 2. The Phone Call. That evening, the house felt heavy and dark. Shadows filled the walls and corners around me. I sat on the sofa, the TV on, but I wasn't really watching anything. The movie played, but my mind was somewhere else. With Claire, in her mother's house. I kept thinking about her long drive, her tired face, her quiet voice at breakfast. I wondered if she had eaten, if she was sleeping well, if her mother was okay. I wanted to call her, to hear her voice, to know she was fine, but I didn't want to bother her. I told myself she needed to rest. The silence in the room grew louder. It pressed against my heart like a weight. Then suddenly the phone rang. The sound was sharp in the quiet air. I smiled without thinking. I was sure it was Claire calling to say goodnight. I picked up the phone quickly and said, "Hello?" My voice was full of hope, but the voice on the other end wasn't hers. It was soft, older, and tired. "Ethan," the woman said, "it's me." Claire's mother. My heart stopped. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. She continued, "I'm sorry to call so late. I just wanted to ask about Claire." I felt confused. "Ask about Claire?" I repeated. "She's with you, isn't she?" There was a long silence. I could hear her breathing on the phone. "No, Ethan," she said slowly. "I haven't seen Claire for weeks." The phone almost slipped from my hand. My mouth went dry. "What do you mean?" I asked. "She said you were sick." "She went to see you." Her mother's voice shook. "I'm fine, Ethan." I never called her. "I'm not sick." The words hit me like ice. My chest tightened. My thoughts went blank. I whispered, "Then where is she?" But there was no answer. Only silence. I hung up the phone slowly. My hand was shaking. The house felt even darker. Everything inside me screamed that something was terribly wrong. And for the first time, I felt real fear, not for her, but for the truth. Chapter 3. The Drive. I said softly, "It's Claire's mother." My blood turned to ice. My mind could not understand anything. Why was she calling me? She was supposed to be sick, resting in bed, but her voice was bright and cheerful. She sounded full of life and energy. She said, "I just called to say hello." "How are you doing, Ethan?" For a moment I couldn't speak. My throat was dry, my chest felt tight. I finally said, "I'm fine. How are you?" She laughed, a warm, strong, healthy laugh. "I'm perfect," she said lightly. "Why do you ask?" My heart started to race. My mind began to spin. Something was terribly wrong. I forced a small smile into my voice. "I'm just happy you're feeling better," I said. She continued, still cheerful. "I'm so happy for you too," she said kindly. "It's wonderful that you and Claire are having a romantic weekend together. You both work so hard. You deserve the time away." Her words hit me like a punch to the stomach. A romantic weekend? My perfect marriage suddenly shattered inside me. My world turned into a lie. Claire was not with her mother. She was somewhere else. With someone else. I felt dizzy. The room was spinning. My heart was breaking in slow motion. I held the phone tightly and whispered, "Yes, it's nice." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. But I stayed silent. I didn't want her mother to know the truth I had just found. We spoke for another minute. The longest, coldest minute of my life. When the call ended, I put the phone down slowly. My hand was shaking hard. My wife was with another man, and I had no idea who he was. I stood up from the sofa. My body felt weak, but my mind was burning. I walked around the living room, my heart beating like a wild animal in a cage. Where was she? Who was he? The questions kept echoing inside my head. Then I remembered something. A small conversation from just last week. My best friend Daniel had told me, I'm going to my family's old cabin this weekend. I need to fix the roof. I'll be alone. I need some quiet time. At the time, I thought nothing of it. It sounded normal. But now, my thoughts connected like lightning. A terrible realization filled my mind. Claire's weekend trip. Daniel's weekend trip. The same weekend, the same lie. A sick feeling spread through my whole body. I didn't want to believe it. No, I whispered to myself. It's impossible. Daniel would never do this to me. He was my oldest friend, like a brother. He knew everything about me. And Claire, she loved me. She had to love me. But deep inside, a voice was whispering the truth I didn't want to face. Chapter 4. The Silent Truth. She would never do this to me. That's what I kept telling myself again and again. My mind said I was being crazy, but my heart, it already knew the truth. It was a cold, hard feeling deep inside my chest, unshakable, heavy, real. I had to know, even if the truth would break me forever. I couldn't stay in that house any longer. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a crime scene, filled with love that had already died. I grabbed my car keys from the table. I didn't take a jacket, not even my wallet. I just left. I opened the door, stepped outside, and started the engine. The cabin was 2 hours away, 2 hours that felt like a lifetime. The road was dark and empty. The trees looked like silent monsters in the night. I kept driving, feeling like I was heading straight toward the end of my life. The drive was a nightmare. I didn't play the radio. The only sounds were the car engine and the broken rhythm of my heart. With every mile, a small part of me hoped I was wrong. Maybe it was all a mistake. Maybe I was imagining everything. But deep down, I knew. I knew exactly what I was going to find. I remembered our wedding day. Her white dress, her soft smile, her promise to love me forever. Was all of it just a lie? Finally, I saw the small dirt road leading to the cabin. I turned off the headlights. I didn't want them to see me coming. I parked the car a little distance away and started walking quietly. The cabin was small, made of old wood. A soft yellow light shone from the windows. It looked peaceful, warm, like a home filled with laughter. My heart was beating so fast it hurt to breathe. I walked around to the back, and then I saw it. Hidden behind the cabin was Claire's car. My last piece of hope died right there in the dark. It was true. Everything was true. I had to see it with my own eyes. I needed to. I walked slowly to the main window and looked inside. They were sitting on the sofa, Claire and Daniel, my wife and my best friend. They weren't touching. They were just talking, smiling, lost in their own world. And she laughed. It was a soft, free laugh, a sound I hadn't heard from her in years. And Daniel, he looked at her like she was the only person in existence. The world stopped. Time stopped. Everything went silent. I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel sad. I just felt nothing. It was like my heart turned to glass and shattered quietly inside my chest. I didn't knock on the door. I didn't shout their names. I didn't want to fight. The fight was already over. I had already lost. So I turned around and walked away, slowly, without sound. I walked back through the cold night to my car. I got in, started the engine, and drove off without looking back. I left everything behind, my marriage, my friendship, my entire life. In that small cabin in the woods, my world ended quietly, and my silence was the loudest sound in the world. Chapter 5. The morning after. The road home felt endless. My eyes burned, but I didn't stop the car. The night sky looked empty. No stars, no moon, just a quiet, black sea above me. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My heart felt like stone inside my chest. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just tired. So tired I could barely think. When I finally reached home, the sun was rising. The light was cold and gray. I parked the car and sat there, staring at the front door for a long time. This house once meant love, laughter, and morning coffee with her smile across the table. Now it was just walls. Walls that had heard too many lies. I stepped inside. The air felt heavy, like it carried every secret she ever told. Her cup was still by the sink. Her book was still on the table. Everything looked exactly the same, except nothing was the same anymore. I sat down in the chair she used to sit in. I touched the empty space she left. Tears finally came, slow and silent, like rain falling inside my chest. I whispered her name once, softly, Claire. And the sound broke me all over again. I tried to hate her, but I couldn't. Love doesn't disappear just because it gets hurt. It just turns quiet. It hides in the corners and waits for your heart to heal. I thought about Daniel, too, my best friend, my brother, my betrayer. I wanted to call him, to ask him why, to hear the truth from his mouth. But then I realized I already knew the truth. I saw it with my own eyes. And sometimes that's all the truth you ever need. I sat there until the sun was high in the sky. The house felt smaller. The clock ticked loudly in the empty kitchen, counting the seconds of a life that had ended. Finally, I stood up. I washed her cup. I closed her book. And I whispered, "Goodbye, Claire." Not with anger, not with hate, but with the soft sadness of a man who finally understood. Some love stories end quietly, with no shouting, no fire, no sound at all. Just silence. The kind that stays with you long after the person is gone. Chapter 6. The Letter. 2 days passed in silence. I barely ate. I barely moved. The house felt lifeless. The world outside continued as if nothing had changed. But my world had stopped completely. On the third morning, I finally walked into our bedroom. I hadn't been there since she left. The bed was still unmade. Her perfume still hung softly in the air, sweet and painful. I sat down and noticed something small on her side of the bed. An envelope. My name was written on it. Ethan. Her handwriting. Soft. Gentle. Too familiar to forget. My hands were shaking as I opened it. The paper smelled faintly like her skin. The letter began simply, "I'm sorry." Those two words cut deeper than anything else she could have said. She wrote about confusion, about loneliness, about how love sometimes fades without reason or warning. She said she didn't plan to hurt me. She said she didn't plan to fall for Daniel. It just happened. She wrote, "You are a good man, Ethan, the best man I ever knew. But somewhere along the way, I forgot how to be the woman you loved." Her words blurred through my tears. I could hardly see the ink anymore. She ended the letter with one last line. "Please don't hate me. Just remember I loved you once. Truly." I folded the letter slowly and held it to my chest. It felt like I was holding her heart. Broken, guilty, and gone. I walked to the window. The morning light fell softly across the floor. Outside, the trees were moving gently in the wind. Alive, peaceful, free. For the first time in days, I took a deep breath. It hurt, but it also felt like healing. I whispered, "Goodbye, Claire." Not with anger, not with love, but with quiet acceptance. Sometimes, love doesn't end in hate. It just ends in silence. And in that silence, I found something I thought I'd lost forever. Peace. In the end, love didn't break with noise. It simply faded into silence. And in that silence, I found myself again. The end.